Okay, everybody. Today we're looking at this website called treatiesmatter.org. I'm going to go over some important facts about treaties. Um, and this is and a couple of things at the beginning are sovereignty and treaties. Sovereignty basically means you have the right to self-rule, like you're your own individual nation. Like every country in the world that rules themselves are called sovereign nations. Um, and like the chairman of the Boise Fort Band says, treaties are agreements between self governing or sovereign nations. Native nations existed long before the formation of the United States. European powers recognized the sovereign status of native nations when they made treaties with us, as did the United States. And treaties have affirmed in courts, have not given but retained for native people the right to hunt, fish, and gather as they did for hundreds of years. And basically what it means is when the natives signed treaties, they often were guaranteed rights. So, for example, in northern Minnesota, all the tribes that signed away their land, which is called the term cede, they put in the treaties that in order for giving us giving the government millions of acres of land, they would retain the right to hunt, fish, and gather. And also to have access to different places like an easement. So, for example, like down here it says, you can sell a piece of land but retain the right to use the dock. You can have an easement put in place where two neighbors share the same driveway. And this was written into the treaties between the native tribes and the U.S. government. Okay, I'm not going to read all of this. I'm just going to read the most important part. This quotation in the middle, it says, all treaties made or which shall be made under the authority of the United States shall be the supreme law of the land, and the judges in every state shall be bound thereby. So it's the U.S. Constitution, Article 6, Clause 2. So that means the supreme law of the land, it's just like the Constitution. They can never be changed. They can never be dropped. And it's a legal contract. And that's probably one of the most important things you can ever learn about treaties in social studies class. All right, everybody, I want to show you, if you guys remember what primary sources are. This is an actual copy of a treaty. And when the treaties were made in the 1800s, they were all handwritten. But nowadays we can get like a typed formal copy. But I just wanted to show you what a real treaty looks like. So this one was done near St. Peter. And this is a treaty of 1837. And it ceded a vast amount of territory in central Wisconsin and central Minnesota. And if you look down, you can see Martin Van Buren was the president of the United States. And you can see all the cursive writing. And right here it tells the area where the land was sold, or another word is ceded. When you cede something, that you give it up or sign it away. Okay, and that's what it means right here. And this kind of describes the land here at the confluence of the St. Peters and the Mississippi rivers. Okay. It's kind of hard to read some of it, but let's go scroll down. And it tells some of the things that the natives can get, like some provisions, tobacco. Let's see what else. It's hard to read here. But yeah, let me scroll down. I just want to kind of show you what it looks like. Scroll a little bit. And so these are the actual articles of the treaty. It tells exactly. Article 1, again, is telling the boundaries of the territory. All the vast territory, and this is called the ceded territory, the land that they're giving up. Article 2. It kind of tells like how much money and other stuff they're supposed to give the Indians in return for signing over these millions of acres of land. Okay. Like giving farm equipment, grain, seed, equipment, supplies. All right. Scroll down, see. Annuities and an establishment of support of schools. An annuity means a payment, okay, but we don't know if it doesn't say if they actually got it. It just says that they were supposed to get it, and the money amount. And the key part of this is that, remember when we're analyzing primary sources, you kind of look for all these different clues about the evidence that you see in the document. So this is the key thing right here. This article, this sentence here in the paragraph, it says, the privilege of hunting, fishing, and gathering the wild rice upon the lands, the rivers, and the lakes included in the treaty ceded is guaranteed to the Indians during the pleasure of the President of the United States. So that means when the natives signed the treaties, they had all this vast territory they were giving up or signing away. However, when they were put on Indian reservations after this, they still retained the right to hunt, fish, and gather in the ceded territory. And that's what they mean by the ceded territory. And I'm going to show you a map of that in a minute. Okay. All right. And so then they put the date, the place, and you're going to see all these signatures of these people who were there at the signing. So you have Henry Dodge, Commissioner. I can't tell who some of these other ones are. H. Sibley, that's a familiar name. You guys have heard that. And so some of these people on the left were government officials. And then on the right, these were the chiefs or leaders from the different tribes. And they would write their Indian name in phonetically, like they would say, from the Leech Lake chiefs, they would phonetically spell out their name, their Indian name, like the Young Buffalo, and they would phonetically write out the letters. It's interesting. The Chief of the Earth. This one here down here, he's a famous one. Chief Hole in the Day. He's a very famous one, and if they've got books about him. And next to this, it says his X mark. They couldn't read or write in English. So whoever was creating this document would phonetically write out their name or whoever it was, and they would put, and so they're saying that the chief marked signed the treaty with an X, and that's why you see all these names here with X's. So you have chiefs, warriors, and you go all the way down, and more chiefs from Lac du Flambeau. See, they all have X marks. Okay, because they couldn't read English, so they had to rely on interpreters for the government. So you have to draw your own conclusion as to what you think. You think they were fair to just sign a paper if they had to rely on the government interpreters? We don't know. Okay. So you see all these X marks, right? Okay. Yeah, and this is a copy. There's one person from Red Lake, last name it says Gorno. Okay. Somebody from Leech Lake right there. Yep. Yellow Robe. Okay. All right, so there you go. And okay. Looks like Martin Van Buren's Signature, Secretary of State. And down here, the Senate, the U.S. Senate has to approve of every treaty. So that's this part down here. All right. Okay. There you go. Okay, everybody. Now the treaty I just showed you, that was the Treaty of 1837. And this is Mille Lacs. It's in northern Minnesota. And Minneapolis is down here. Now, this red line, I wish I had like some kind of a marker to mark this, but see this line here? All the way around, if you follow this red boundary here, this is all this land that all those people, that paper I just showed you, they just signed away all these millions of acres of land to the U.S. government. Okay? That's called the ceded territory. Remember, the word cede means to give up or sign away. Okay? And Mille Lacs is in Minnesota. Okay? And these other boundaries are other treaties. So like here's the land given up in the 1854 treaty. This is in Michigan, Treaty of 1842. That was all this territory up here. And actually, this is my reservation right here, up Keweenaw Bay, right there. Okay, that's where I'm from. That's my hometown right here. So that's about 4 hours to Duluth, and then another 3 hours down to Duluth. Okay, so right here. So this is called the ceded territory. Now, the reservations aren't that big. Reservations are in these little areas. Like there's a reservation here, there's a reservation there, one there. And what the treaty does is that in this area, the people have the right to hunt, fish, and gather because that's what it says in the treaty. Okay. So let me stop here for a second. I'm going to show you a video of an example of what treaty rights are. Okay, so just kind of hang on there for the next thing. All right.